So I'll be talking today about NAA Click Lease. It is a web-based software that is eligible for our current members. And so if you're already a member of your local affiliate, you can take advantage of this program. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and go through a presentation here. One moment. If you can allow me to share my screen, Brian.
You may have to make her a co-host, Brian. I know we've had that happen in the past too on other webinars.
All right.
Okay, so we'll get started. So like I said, my name is Kwei Nwagu. I'm a sales account manager at NAA, and I work with management companies like yourself, Michelle. I assist with providing pricing, answering questions about Click and Lease, and just walking you through the ordering process if you have any questions, connecting you with the right resources.
Is it me? All right. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Brian. How's it going? I'm Nick Tovar. I'm actually the Director of Sales at NAA. So thank you for joining us on the call, and for future people that are going to be watching this recording. Hello.
Hello.
We really appreciate your time. And just like Quay said, we'd like to keep this conversational. Michelle, Brian, if you guys have questions, let me know. Happy to answer them. And here we go. So why should you actually use Click and Lease? Well, first off, in order to use the program, you have to be a member of your local affiliate. So all of those benefits that you get from the local affiliate, you also get national membership benefits. So once you're a member of the local, you automatically become a member of the national. We have our savings and discounts programs, which could save you with Home Depot or Lowe's. We have all the advocacy that we're doing on the Hill. Everything from our industry publications, which includes Industry Insider, operations. We have 6 or 7 e-newsletters that could pertain to everything about our industry that you can learn about. And then, of course, we have all the other resources that you can find online. And you have myself and Quay. So you're really getting a lot for this membership. And because you have this membership, you're going to be allowed to use our Click and Lease program.
So NAA is trusted by professionals nationwide. Our Click and Lease program benefits everyone at the management company level. So from your leasing managers to your legal professionals and your executives, they will benefit from this. And I can speak more into your leasing managers. I used to work at a property before, so I use this program. So I know how it is very beneficial. When you're working at a property, you need to lease your units. You need to conduct tours, engage your residents, and you're getting pulled in so many different directions. So having a program that allows you to generate and execute leases in a simple and streamlined way definitely cuts time and gives you back that time for you to be able to handle other tasks. So I can definitely attest that there's no any other program that you can use that would allow you to handle other tasks and just provide you that ease and peace of mind. Your legal professionals, they want everyone to be legally protected. Click and Lease allows you to basically have that peace of mind because we update and review our forms annually and anytime there's a change in law. So you can rest assured that you're using up-to-date forms. And that if there's any time the law has changed, that we would update our forms and notify our users of that change. Your executives, they want consistency across the board. If you have multiple properties across the state or across the country, you can use the same program. Your regional managers, or if you have leasing, your on-site teams are moving from property to property, they don't have to relearn or learn at different programs when they go to different properties. It's the same program. So it provides that consistency that a lot of executives look for.
So NAA is CNL by the numbers. We're available in all 50 states. We have over 6 million units and 3,000 management companies that take advantage of our program. Now, when you look at NAA's membership as a whole, we have about 10 million units in our membership. So as you can see, over 60% of those units trust the Click and Lease lease and take advantage of the program. Now, here are some of our top Click and Lease users. You know, we work with most of the large management companies, but we work with medium, small, and IROs as well. We really have a lease, and Quay is going to talk about this later, are different kinds of leases, but that are there to fit your needs. We also have pricing that is able to fit your needs depending on your property and where you're located.
So when I talk to our current management companies that use the program, and even the prospects that come to us and that are interested in the program, the main thing that they highlight or that they're interested in is, one, they want a program that is that's online and paperless. It's their initiative. A lot of management companies and IROs is their initiatives to go online and paperless. And Click and Lease provides you that. It is a web-based software, so you can access it anywhere. Especially right now, it's very important with COVID. If you have on-site teams that are working from home or even in the office, but you're limited to how many people you can have in the office, and you may have residents that are, or prospects not comfortable in coming in, you can still generate and execute your leases. So your leasing operations does not need to stop at all. Integration with your PMS. We can integrate with all property management softwares. Blue Moon has an open API, so as long as your PMS is willing and capable of integrating, we will do that. From Entrada, Appfolio, RealPage, Yardi, any of those, whichever PMS provider you're using, we can definitely talk together and see the integration level, but we are willing to work with any property management software. So this makes it, it provides you that hassle-free, right? You have everything all under one platform, easily generating your leases with pre-populating all your resident information. Also, you will have access to online rental application. I have some medium-sized, even some large or your IROs who are interested in our rental application because you don't have to create that yourself, right? So again, it's still also meeting that compliance. You're ensuring, you're knowing that you're using the right information in your application. So you'll have access to that, which you can customize and embed into your website or send it to your prospect to fill out. Your administrative settings, some of our prospects, sometimes they come to us and say, I want to make sure that I'm in compliance. I don't want my on-site teams to be able to change any wordings or any fields. Click and Lease provides you that, ensures that you are in compliance because you can lock any fields down that you don't want your on-site teams to change when they're generating the leases. So you can lock that down under the administrative settings. You can also have a portal enterprise module where you can access all of different properties, all different licenses under one. So again, our goal here is to make this a hassle-free, streamline your leasing operation, and Click and Lease have those features that allows you to do that.
So Stephanie is going to touch on the NAA Click and Comply product. So I'll leave that to her, but it is our brand new smart task automation tool. But one feature I will tell you about that we just launched was our litigation defender insurance. So we want to give you that peace of mind when you use our lease. So should anybody make a legal claim against the language in our lease or our forms, we want you to know that NAA stands by it. It is at no extra cost to you. In order to obtain this insurance, it comes with for everybody that actually uses the lease. Again, we're offering that peace of mind through our litigation defender insurance policy.
So with the benefits of Click and Lease, of course, number one is the legally compliant forms. That is the number one reason why our current users are using the program, why we have 6 million units participating in the program. We provide those up-to-date forms, and like I mentioned, we review and update our forms annually. So that is a number one reason benefit for using the program. The compatibility that I already talked about, you're able to integrate with your property management software, and you're reducing your risk. You're protecting your community, your properties against changing state laws and click and lease, offering you that peace of mind that Nick talked about. You don't have to sit there and wonder, oh, did the law change? Are my forms up to date? Am I using the right forms? You leave that for NAA to do the worrying. Customizable forms. There's a slide here that I will share about our current forms that we do have. But of course, if there's any forms that you don't see, or maybe it's specific to your property or your management company procedures, you can definitely add that as a custom form. So you'll just work with Blue Moon, they will program that and it will be available in the library. So when you create your lease packet, you can select that and it will be included in your lease packet. You will have unlimited access to all the forms. Each state has 60 plus forms, and you'll have access to all of that. You will have access to the conventional lease, student housing lease, and all the addenda that we provide, as well as different resources. We have webinars and trainings that will be available to you and your team as well. So it gives you a whole inclusive package that will benefit you, your on-site teams, as well as everyone at the management company level.
And legal compliance. So Quay really just touched on this topic just a moment ago. But if you look and you talk to our members, it is the number one reason on why people trust our lease is the legal compliance. Again, we have those 60 forms per state. If you want to add your own, like I said, you can add your customized forms, but we probably have one already queued up for you. So we encourage you to take a look at ours. If at any point you want to take a look at our whole lease package, feel free to contact Quay or myself. We'll be happy to get you that information. Many jurisdictions and specific forms, we are trying to get down to the local level. We actually started that project where we run across the US, where the majority of our members are in their cities, to get specific and just to add any language that pertains to that city or county. And again, the annual legal review of all forms. In some areas like California, New York, Massachusetts, I feel like we are doing this monthly, but you can rest assured at least once a year that the forms and the leases will all be reviewed. So for those of you who don't know, we offer a state-specific legal webinar, and we basically work with our local counsel and they go over any changes that pertain to the lease that just came about. And then of course, we are every day are working to come up with more reasons for you to work with us on our lease. So as they come aboard, we'll keep you posted on the resources.
So here are our sample NAA addenda. So as you can see, this is just a sample. We have from your animal addenda, parking addenda, community policy rules and regulations. And then also up top, we can see those two forms that we added, the COVID-19 forms. So you will have access again to a lot of addenda that we have already created. So most of the time, all the forms that a lot of the community use, we already have. But again, if there are any forms that's really specific to your property, you can add that as a custom form. And like Nick mentioned, we can definitely provide you with a whole sample forms that you can review. That includes everything. When you purchase a lease packet from NAA, you will have access to the conventional lease and the student housing lease. So these are the two leases that we provide. Your student housing lease is similar to the conventional lease. The only difference is that it is individual lease by the bed. So you have the individual liability as well as the shared housing notice. And right now we are currently working on single family lease. So if you do have any properties, any single family homes, you can certainly review our forms and see if the conventional lease will work for now. And then when our single family lease is launched, you can always convert to that. We also have the HUD lease. I know you mentioned, Michelle, about the affordable We have the HUD lease already in the program, the platform. So you can utilize that if you have units that require the HUD lease. If you do have any other affordable programs like tax credit or any of those, you can definitely work with us and see if there are any specific forms that you must have for those programs. We can either add it to like similar to the HUD lease, or you can use a customization route for that. So you can definitely add them as custom forms. And then we are no longer pay-per-clicks. We are a subscription model. And I say this a lot because we have, I've spoken to a lot of our prospects, and sometimes they think that we're still pay-per-clicks, but we are no longer pay-per-click. And I find it that it works for a lot of these prospects that I do talk to. So it is a subscription model, and I will go ahead and share the different packages we have now. So we have 3 packages. Our packages are based on the units at each property. So I'll start with the first one, our apartment package. The apartment package is designed for communities that are 50 units and more. Pricing for that is $325 for the license fee and $2.99 per unit. This does not include your membership dues to the local affiliate, but if you're already a member, that takes care of that part. Your small owner package, that is designed for the communities that are under 50 units. It's $100 for the first 20 units and $5 per additional unit. If you have a property, say with 20 units, it will be $100 flat a year. So it really is that those pricing are really reasonable. And I find our prospects, especially when they find out that it is a yearly subscription, that they really see that the benefits really are great for that price. Our bundled small property package is this package is for those smaller communities. If you have multiple communities that are under 50 units, you can add them under one license. So our pricing for the bundle package is $325 for the license fee and $2.99 per unit. This pricing is similar to the apartment package. The only difference is that the $325 is for the entire package where you can have multiple properties, and the apartment package is per property instead of as a bundle. Of course, all these does not include your membership dues. All properties have to be members of their local affiliate, as Nick mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, but you don't have to write these pricing packages down. I'm happy to put together a quote for you. All we'll just need is your portfolio list, and I can put the pricing together and let you know which one will work best for you. Any question for us?
No? All right. Well, thank you very much. Like I said earlier in the presentation, we have a brand new component under our umbrella with NAA Click and Comply, and we're going to turn this over to Stephanie.
Woohoo! So Quay, can you make me the host so I can share my screen? While that is happening, I would like to ask the attendees, both here today live and anyone watching in the recorded asynchronous world, what's that word? Asynchronous, to let me know, where do you feel you are the strongest and have the most confidence in? Is it in leasing, resident care, risk mitigation, or asset preservation? And of course, since we are going to be recorded, I just want you to think about your answer. And Michelle, feel free to answer as well. You can answer in the chat if you prefer not to unmute. But it is a leading question because when we're talking about NAA Click and Comply, we are talking about areas that people don't feel as confident in a lot of times. And that's in preventative maintenance, risk mitigation, and asset preservation. So we're going to talk about how to get you more confident there. But we're also going to talk about how to automate and reduce risk across your portfolio and some areas where you are exposed right now to more risk and what we can do to help. So we are very pleased to introduce you to NAA's Click and Comply, our new operation management software. We're a software that easy for me to say. Cut that, Brian, okay? I'm just teasing. See, it shows we're human. That's what it is. It's a software that centralizes and automates routine property management tasks from a property management company's standard operating procedures, from their preventative maintenance calendars, any of their remediation protocols for mold, asbestos, lead, all of those types of things, and any other operations best practices that are important that you need to document, memorialize, enforce, and ensure that that your teams are compliant with those other best practices. It serves as a repository for institutional knowledge and helps maintain regulatory compliance with local, state, and federal codes. We're seeing a need for this compliance and policy management more than ever. The plaintiff's bar is attacking on the health and safety front, and I'll talk a little bit more about that soon, which means you're at risk if you're not enforcing your very own policies. And we're also seeing the need for operators to have remote access and real-time visibility into the compliance with SOPs. This all ensures that your teams are prioritizing the right tasks, operating efficiently, and maintaining high-value compliant assets. We make an immediate positive impact on our value partners' policy compliance and maintenance operations to improve performance, reduce operational risk, increase operating efficiency, and provide that critical visibility to ensure preservation of that multi-million-dollar asset. So when our clients log in, they see a dashboard. And if you have multiple properties throughout an area, you'll see a concentrated dashboard of your properties. And what you're really seeing in this view is whether your properties are in compliance or they're not with your policies and with the action items that you've instructed them to execute. So you'll know which properties and which people are putting you at risk. When properties log in, to make their jobs and lives easier, they see their workspace that will let them know what those priorities are. Everything that you've said that they need to do and take care of, they'll know this week, this month, this year, and the criticality. So as things change, like COVID really threw us for a loop over the last 15 months, as things change, it'll be easier to communicate what is needing to be done and what might be different than what needed to be done yesterday. So then your teams will have the confidence that they know exactly what needs done and when, and that they're meeting expectations that are set for them. Because at the end of the day, a lack of confidence actually leads to inertia. And training just doesn't solve for all of this. We can't blame training for everything, right? Because there's training and then there's doing. And NAA Click and Comply facilitates the doing. So I promised I'd share some areas where you're most exposed, because speaking of doing, there's a lot of write-ups about front of house risk and exposure, fraud, for example. But back of house risk and exposure, they don't get as much buzz, but it's just as important and you are just as exposed. So here are 5 areas that I want you to consider. One is that insurance rates are increasing. The industry is already in the midst of a multi-year run-up in insurance rate increases. And the average worldwide prices for commercial insurance increased 22% during the final quarter of 2020. And we're still getting some numbers in for Q1. And that was according to Marsh, one of the largest insurance brokerages in the world. And we just spoke with a prospect of ours whose umbrella policy went up 40%. And so we're absolutely seeing, in this 22 to 40% range, a real area where you're exposed. And it's not just premiums that are going up. They're also having deductibles being increased, which means that owners are going to have more cash output for any incidents that require insurance claims to be processed. So that is a big area where you are exposed. And speaking of incidents and claims, litigation and claims are going up. According to a session at NAA APT Virtual last November, claims are going up and they have been. And generally, it's a $25,000 for an earnest defense effort. So even if you're right and they take it all the way to court, you're probably out 25 grand for the legal fees alone. Now, the dream is to not have any claims or to be able to get them dismissed completely, but you do need to have proper documentation, proper proof of enforcement of your SOPs, because slips and falls pool gate malfunctions, and the most basic maintenance item that has the most serious personal injury claim, lighting. Do you have a lighting inspection as part of your standard operating procedures? Sure you do. Is it being enforced? Is it being done? If you can prove compliance, you will absolutely mitigate the risk and reduce the liability for a claim coming from that. And I mentioned earlier that the plaintiff's bar is attacking on the health and safety front. And again, you have SOPs for a reason, but your teams must be held accountable to adhering to them. It's honestly worse than not having them at all. According to the legal counsel of various companies that we work with, and it's not time to back off on enforcement. It's not time. Putting this in perspective with the insurance rates going up, more claims raises insurance even more. So it puts you more exposed. So let's control what we can control and take proactive measures to keep your claims down and your rates down with a wonderful solution called Click and Comply. Another area of exposure, though, is failing a code inspection. So code violations can have severe repercussions for a property owner. Fines, of course, right? And more serious infractions could result in even criminal actions. But the other area that people don't really think about is that if you're in violation of a municipal code, those violations can be posted publicly, and it can damage a property's brand and reputation and its market valuation. Those civil penalties can also accrue daily, and they reinspect to see if you're compliant on their own time. So who knows how long it takes to get them back out there. And when we were in COVID land, inspectors were trying to do video ones, and it was just a strange world. And you would see those fines rack up. Those code violations are a revenue stream for the city. So it's possible that they, don't have an agenda of their own or anything, right? So we asked a new client why they reached out to us. And this was actually one of the reasons. They were looking to solve an issue after they had $120,000 in fines. I'm going to take a moment to let you take that in. Yeah, I know. It was an issue. In their particular state, which is in California, they had something called SCEP registrations that requires them to register their rental units for routine inspections. And they missed the deadlines and didn't get their inspections and racked up $120,000 in fines. And this person came looking for us and said, what can I do to avoid this in the future? I mean, that is a big deal. So the benefits of mitigating code compliance risk go just beyond $120,000 fines and avoiding accidents and all that. It really is common sense standards typically to promote safety on your property. And of course, the other big area you're exposed is resident and employee turnover. The renewal stats from Satisfact show that 44% of your residents are not likely to renew. And here are the reasons. 27% because of apartment appearance and condition, 23% because of community appearance and cleanliness, 14% because of maintenance staff, and the others are bugs, pests, and some other miscellaneous things, which cost you renewals, which costs you lots of cash in that turnover cost. And at the end of the day, if you are able to make sure that your teams are executing and maintaining the community, even if it's remotely, then you can help mitigate the risk from resident turnover. And then, of course, employee turnover has its own risk as well. When you turn over 39% of maintenance in our space, that causes issues with resident turnover because they don't like to see all this new faces all the time. And when you lose a person on your property or in your company, according to the Department of Labor, they take 70% of their institutional knowledge with them. That means a lot of the information that's in their head goes with them. What we're trying to do is help reduce where you're exposed and your risk with Click and Comply by allowing that institutional knowledge to be data dumped in a way into the Click and Comply environment. Basically meaning, somebody doesn't just know off the top of their head when the last fire inspection was done. It is documented, memorialized, and you can pull it up and search and retrieve it in our database. So that really helps with maintaining and reducing your risk from resident and employee turnover. You reduce employee turnover, you increase resident retention. And then the last area that we're going to talk about today is with regards to preventative maintenance. Deferred maintenance and preventative maintenance issues that doesn't get done could cost you up to 50 times. But this also helps with other major risks, right? Insurance increases, claims increases, code compliance issues, and retention can all be reduced by engaging in regular preventative maintenance. And here's why. One, your insurance company likes to see your risk mitigation plan, which includes preventative maintenance, and it proves you've got your house in order. And automating that does several things. One, if you automate preventative maintenance and reprioritize it, be ready for this, over turns and work orders. Just bear with me for a minute. It actually helps reduce the time it takes to turn apartments and the quantity of work orders, which in turn makes residents happier, employees happier, and helps with those other areas that you're exposed. So you asked, or I asked earlier rather, what you felt most confident in: leasing, resident care, risk mitigation, or asset preservation. And I would guess you answered leasing or resident care for the most part, because we're all pretty confident in those areas, because that's sort of our business, right? Like that's why we're in this space. But the maintenance and the risk and all of those things are also mission critical. And if you do move some of these things around, reprioritize them, and also deliver guidance to your teams on them, you can make them more confident in those areas and help in the other areas that you're exposed. So how does this click and comply world kind of fit into your tech package and your tech infrastructure? Bringing it back to this operations management software, we reduce risk from all that exposure by standing alongside of your property management software. We have our solution is more asset focused, asset life cycle, where your property management solution is typically resident focused, resident life cycle, in a very reactive environment, right? Somebody submits a lead, it goes into your marketing CRM, you screen them if they apply, they become a resident, and they pay you, so on and so forth. With ours, it is all about maintaining your code compliance, your tasks, workflows, and inspections related to preventative maintenance, remediation protocols, your SOPs. We also have communication tools built in as well in order to make that efficiency back and forth even more efficient. Now, there is a bit of an overlap with work orders. Work orders are typically reactive. Well, that it made sense from an efficiency standpoint to have work orders be run through the click and comply environment, since teams were already running move in, move out inspections, turns, remediation protocols, preventative maintenance, all of that stuff in our app. So we do have a bilateral integration with several of the main property management softwares out there. And I can answer more questions on that separately if you ever want me to. Now, I've talked pretty heavily about maintenance and areas of risk where you're exposed in that area. But I do want to share that you have other use cases for NAA Click and Comply outside of the maintenance realm. And these are just some of them: incident reports, pre-react, tracking service contracts, all of those things that may be in disparate systems now that you can consolidate and put into one system. So again, it stands alongside your PMS as your other global tech solution. Think about it this way: anything that you're collecting data on spreadsheets from and manually compiling, that can go into Click and Comply, and you can collect it from the teams digitally via the app, and then it can run a rolled up report, and boom, you're done. So think about anything that you have to end up going out and asking people for and then keying it in. That can be completely solved in our solution for more consistency and efficiency. How about that? In addition, I mentioned all the code violation possibilities and the exposure there. Well, the proprietary technology that we have for code compliance is where we actually go out and scrape municipal websites for their code updates, and we push them out to the property's workspace, just like their SOPs and automated preventive maintenance, all that, in order for you guys to know what maintenance compliance tasks you need to adhere to for your property. And it's smart. We only send what applies to the property. So that's helping you mitigate risk, streamlining communication, ensuring compliance as well. And so, as I mentioned, we measure compliance, which properties and people are putting you at risk, but the data output allows you to make data-driven decisions that weren't even available before or weren't available without extensive manual processes. And as we've talked about with COVID and everything, the virtualization of most organizations has amplified the need for the data to be highly accessible. Everybody wasn't able to get to the properties in order to see what was going on. They needed to have access remotely, and we can facilitate that. So I'm going to discuss some of these stories here in just a moment, because I love to storytell. So it's time for you to get your s'mores and your fire, and we're going to sit around the campfire right now. Not a scary story, not as scary as those areas of exposure, but this is more some great data output stories for you. So some of our, actually all of our data that is collected. So every time you go out and do a pool inspection, every time you go out and do lighting, whatever it is, all of that data is collected and can be queried and reported on. So if there's anything that you need to know, excuse me, you can report on it. So in this example, the customer wanted to query any pH over 7.9 because that's the danger zone, and they wanted to see if there's some pool issues in their portfolio. You have the ability to do that, any of that kind of stuff. In addition, if there are issues that you're worried about, something that really keeps you up at night, then we can auto notify you. The idea behind Click and Comply isn't that things go out to you all the time and your email's overwhelmed. That's actually the opposite of the point of Click and Comply. Typically, we want you to be able to log in and see what you need to see, run reports that you need to run, whatever it is. But if there are mission critical things that you just need to know, then we can actually auto notify you. So we had an owner who hired a new third-party operator, and he had a tragic incident because a pool gate was broken at a property of his. And he told the new operator, I want to know anytime you're doing a pool inspection and the pool gate doesn't work, I want to know right away. And so we were able to facilitate that in our solution. So as soon as they go out every day and do their pool inspections on all of his properties, there's a trigger and a conditional question that says, is the pool gate working or not? And if it's not, he gets an email. So he can be aware that something has happened and he can be on top of it. And it also goes to the regional, of course, so that they can facilitate repairing that and doing whatever needs to be done to avoid another tragic incident. So we're really just helping to not only kind of virtualize all the offices and the exposure and the transparency, but we are also keeping everybody in the loop as they need to be and allowing you some incredible data output. We also had a property manager who previously had done incident reports and inspections and all that stuff on paper. So the first time they did their unit inspections in Click and Comply, they were so excited because they immediately went and they pulled a report that only showed for signs of pets. So they narrowed it down to just see this one thing that they would have never been able to narrow down before on paper. And he saw that 25% of his units showed signs of pets that didn't have pet rent or pet or any sort of indication of a service animal in the apartment. So 25%. So immediately, of course, kicked out, unauthorized pet letters, and was able to, hone in on that risk as well, because, unauthorized pets actually lead to some higher incidents of dog bites and other things that can happen. But in addition, he got ancillary income out of that because they're going to have to start paying for those pets. And be aware, during COVID, there is a lot of numbers coming through that show people went to the shelters and got pets while they were in lockdown. So you're going to probably have some unauthorized pets that you need to, when you get your inspections, pull those reports out of Click and Comply. And then, of course, I mentioned incident reports a couple of times because it's such an important part of our process to reduce risk, is to capture the proper data in an incident report, witness information, photos, video, police reports, whatever you need to do. But the other piece of it is to be able to see where you're exposed in incidents. So we've got BI tools that help you understand kind of where your incidents are coming from. Is it microbial, easy for me to say, bacterial growth, break-ins, plumbing issues? Was it storm? Was it what's controllable? What's not controllable? And help you make better data-driven decisions, including this story of an owner who said, you guys need to get rid of courtesy patrol. And the regional and the property manager said, we don't want to, we believe in it. We know it helps us. And he said, I don't care, cut it. I want it out of the budget. So they cut it. And 3 months later, they were able to prove with a rolled up incident report history that the incidences of petty theft and car break-ins went way up. So the manager and the regional were able to justify the cost with the owner, and he had the data from Click and Comply. There was nothing, he couldn't turn it down anymore. So data-driven decisions help you justify your budget, help you to get what you need in order to preserve the asset your multi-million-dollar asset. I also think it's really important to know that unlike other cumbersome software rollouts, while our solution is complex and there's a lot of moving parts, it's not hard to implement. We do the heavy lifting of automating your SOPs in our system and all of that. We build those forms and custom templates for you. We build in those triggers and conditions with your guidance and our consultation. And we're really driving the consistency throughout your portfolio. We also collect data on each property because that drives the customization. So we automate on the back end based on attributes. So if you have a property that's a HUD property, they only get tasks related to, if there's a HUD task, they get that. If it's not a HUD property, they don't get that. So we really are able to ensure that your properties are as efficient as possible because they are getting exactly what they're supposed to be seeing, and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And I always say the operations and maintenance binders that are 700 pages that sit on somebody's, credenza, that there's no customization there. And it really is very difficult to execute from a binder. No more of that. And I want to share too that we stick with you throughout. So we're different than other software companies because we remain your partner post-agreement and post-implementation. So when new risks emerge and changes to how you run your business are needed, we make those changes and deploy it universally as well. So success planning, and we can do it again if we need to. I'd like to close with sharing that not everybody can prevent all bad things from happening. I wish that we could, but you can improve your proactive approach. And doing that, you can reduce that operational risk, increase your operating efficiency, and better ensure preservation of your multi-million-dollar assets with our solution, NAA Click and Comply. With that, I will pause for questions, comments. I don't see anything in the chat. So a little bit about sort of how we work. So we are a portfolio rollout typically because you want to reduce risk and have consistency across your portfolio. And we are typically built and scalable for a multifamily community, though we do have clients that have multifamily and single family or some sort of hybrid portfolio. And we do price based on NAA member versus non-NAA member properties. So the NAA member properties get a discount, of course. And we will potentially tier pricing as well. So if you do want some more information on that piece, it's just a little bit different than the way like Click and Lease works. Click and Comply, different solution, kind of different approach. You can reach out to me or Mr. Nick, and we will help you with that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. If you can let
I'm going to make you the host. There you go.